Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we are joined by YFC Wales Chair, Laura Elliott. At NFU Cymru, we are huge supporters of the YFC movement, as John's already said, and one of our core aims is to ensure that we have a dynamic farming industry that is open, that is accessible, and that is appealing to the next generation. So, ladies and gentlemen, Laura Elliott.
Thank you, John. We've heard from my esteemed panel about the big-hitting headline topics that the agricultural industry currently has and what's critically important here in Wales. In an effort to avoid too much repetition on what will be said across the conference on Brexit, trade, subsidies and environment, I'd like to offer some additional areas of thought, which will help to underpin the objective of the session title here today. And I'm delighted to say that some of them have already been touched upon. Over the past 4 years, Wales YFC have held an annual Rural Affairs Conference, at which we've been fortunate to enjoy the company of a plethora of leading lights of the agricultural industry. They have all attributed their initial success to the same platform, being given the reins to make key decisions about the family businesses they worked in. Succession planning is the most perilous balance in any business, and particularly farming. More people than ever before are returning to the family farm with qualifications and practical placement experience behind them. How many hold a wealth of knowledge on new farming methods, different systems, and diversification ideas, however, lack the clout to be able to implement them? I do also recognise that it's sometimes as much of a challenge to leave farming as it is to enter it. Is there possibly a way that we could use taxation changes to offer financial incentives for early succession? People say they are born into farming, a romantic notion, and whilst true, death shouldn't be the only means by which to leave it. We need to trust in our next generation. For young people without a succession, the routes into agriculture are quite limited at present. One would be tenant farming, but it's increasingly apparent that this is less attractive for local authorities and other owners in the wake of significant financial pressures. Selling off farmland is one way to ease the burden. Is it too much to hope that a Help to Buy scheme, like in residential housing, could be made sustainable for small holdings moving forward? This may prevent prime farmland being lost to sprawling estates and instead offer young people a viable foot on the ladder. The venture scheme is currently a way to connect farm owners with no succession plan to create a joint venture with an individual who's keen to progress. Schemes like this should be supported and encouraged. Local authorities and others need to recognise the important role they play in determining how healthy the future of agriculture in Wales will be. In Gower, I think it would be easier to get super-fast broadband than it is to get a successful application for a residential dwelling, for an agricultural dwelling. I know of at least 2 farms within 5 miles of me who risk losing their future workforce due to a refusal on planning. Gower is a beautiful area, but seriously lacking in affordable housing for young people. Those decision makers need to recognise the importance of a sustainable local workforce for an industry that punches well above its weight in terms of benefit to the wider community. Technology and innovation are inextricably linked to the success of agriculture and the industry. My father was born in 1949, and the developments in science and technology that he will see in his lifetime are really quite remarkable. Unless we continue to invest in research and innovation here in Wales, then I will not be able to say the same. With an ever-growing world population to feed, the scientist is bound to play an increasing role in food production. With more data at our fingertips than ever before, everyone has the capability to utilise research in their day-to-day life. In my day job, I work on a renewable technology project, and whilst predominantly focusing on buildings as power stations, we have been able to apply some of the findings to agriculture. This has involved scoping grid substitution for hot water usage in a Carmarthenshire milking parlour and the feasibility of grain drying using sim material in Bridgend. Both projects aiming to lower the cost of production. These examples are currently funded through the European mechanism, and it's vitally important that our governments continue to invest in research post-2020. I eat food, I buy food, I am a consumer. I'm also a minute-scale producer, if you count the handful of chickens we have at home. Understanding the perspectives of both is crucial to the future of Welsh produce. How often do we go to the shops and really have time to take a look at what's on the shelf and what's changing from week to week? The fact is we don't, but we need to. Keeping up with consumer trends will be more important if our relied upon markets grow thorns. By knowing the latest social trend and health kick, we have the ability to react quickly and accordingly when pitching our products. At some point, many will have to make tough decisions about why they're still producing for an audience that no longer exists. Greater and continued access to market information will help prevent these choices, meaning the end to small family farms. This must be done in tandem with increasing the profile of Welsh produce, as mentioned by my other panel members. You can have as many trade missions as you like, but the power of social media is also king. Nothing is as effective as me telling Tom from Canada about the virtues of Welsh lamb via Twitter, or messaging Jo in Cardiff her a link to her local farmers market. As well as promoting produce, we know we have to promote the methods, telling the farming story and breaking down the stereotypes that for some minorities paint livestock owners as baby snatchers and murderers. Criticism is often ignorance in disguise. Initiatives like Open Farm Sunday are so important, and can we dare to dream that a GCSE in farming could one day become a widespread reality? More education on food and farming in schools is needed. That's a given, we all acknowledge it. But the small steps we can take to promote ourselves every day will reap rewards if it educates even one person to change their perception of the industry and even their shopping habits. You only have to look to Blue Planet and their coverage of the effects of plastic on our oceans to see how quickly public support can drive political change. The value of training within the agricultural industry cannot be underestimated. The umbrella of training covers the high-power input of our university colleges for a percentage of future agriculturalists, while also covering the funding offered to local training agencies, where expertise are utilised by many. Group activities have become more popular through local farmers' meeting to share ideas, whilst union meetings have seen their demographic widen slightly. In my opinion, Young Farmers is still the most important organisation in the transfer of knowledge from one young person to another in our industry. Whether it be training through competitions, specialist area events, or providing young people with the skills to train others, training plays a vital role in YFC and should be supported. Why is CPD not valued by our farmers as much as it is in the corporate world? Upskilling our workforce should be a core ambition of our industry and will underpin resilience in the difficult years to come. The Young Farmers movement in Wales have supported members to put some of their views across to government in various meetings to influence future agricultural policy, alongside headline concerns over trade arrangements, financial support, labour sources and market regulation. Whilst I welcome the recent announcement by Welsh Government of a new entrance scheme, Young People in Agriculture Forum and development of an all-Wales farming conference, it is important to remember the work the Young Farmers movement does in underpinning the success of these initiatives and giving government an exceptional field from which to harvest participants. Just one example in YFC, we offer young people a chance to use their greatest asset, their passport, to travel and see different farming systems across the world through our international travel programme, learning and bringing new ideas back to Wales. YFC will continue to nurture the development of rural young people, creating leaders, but more importantly, supporting those with agricultural ambitions to realise their potential through informal training, personal development, growing confidence and new ideas. How can we achieve our vision for a productive, profitable and progressive agricultural industry? By considering the fourth P, people.